It was now 3 a.m. A young man, gripped with fear and anxiety, stared at a blank piece of paper. A piece of paper that within a few short hours would carry the words of a speech that would change the world forever. The event had been announced to the press 2 months earlier. A crowd of at least 100,000 were expected, and the media coverage was sure to span the globe. With everything at stake and the legacy opportunity for the civil rights movement upon him, he didn't even pick up the pen until 10 p.m. the night before the march. It's important to note his most memorable line, "I have a dream," wasn't even in the original script, yet it is that very line that history remembers. Martin Luther King Jr. was a procrastinator. And all of our lives, we have been conditioned to believe that procrastination is bad. We've been labeled as lazy, careless, disorganized, undisciplined. Our parents, our teachers scolded us for waiting until the last minute. But what if procrastination is an advantage? What if procrastination and the fear and pressure it provokes inspires us to do our best work? If the history of creativity teaches us anything, it's that great ideas often come when we least expect them. Many of the great thinkers credit procrastination for their genius. Take the great Amadeus Mozart, for example, who said, "It seems to me impossible to say when new melodies come to me and how they arrive. What is certain is that I cannot make them come when I wish." And today on the podcast, we're going to dive into strategic procrastination and challenge the common assumptions ruled by conventional thinking by exploring the extraordinary benefits of this creative incubator. That procrastination, when planned, when organized, can be an invaluable tool. That allowing space between thoughts, subjects, and projects allows for an emergence of new thought, fresh perspectives, and great work. My name is Sasha, and I'm a procrastinator. Welcome to Entrepreneur Insight. As the prolific crime writer said, Agatha Christie, invention, in my opinion, arises directly from idleness, possibly even from laziness. Psychology today defines procrastination as when a person plans or feels he or she should have completed a task earlier, but then delays performing the task. And while conventional thought would rank procrastination as the ultimate enemy to productivity, my reality, and the reality of those whose work has inspired me, has shown the opposite. It's just a different type of productivity, and it's called creativity. Take Leonardo da Vinci, for example. Starting the Mona Lisa in 1503, he didn't finish until 1519. His procrastination included long, spacious bouts of experimentation around the optics and light of the painting. Over the course of 16 years, the Mona Lisa took her shape. Much like today's societal theory, he was criticized and characterized as being lazy. And in his journal, even wrote that he actually felt like a failure. Historian William Pennepacker brilliantly explains that Leonardo's studies of how light strikes a sphere, for example, enabled the continuous modeling of the Mona Lisa. His work in optics might have delayed a project, but his final achievements in painting depended on the experiments. Far from being a distraction, like many of his contemporaries thought, they represent a lifetime of productive brainstorming, a private working out of the ideas on which his more public work depended. If creative procrastination, selectively applied, prevented Leonardo from finishing a few commissions of minor importance when one is struggling with the inner workings of the cosmos, then only someone who is a complete captive of the modern cult of productive mediocrity could fault him for it. Productive mediocrity requires discipline of an ordinary kind. It is safe and threatens no one. Nothing will be changed by mediocrity. But genius is uncontrolled and uncontrollable. You cannot produce a work of genius according to a schedule or an outline. Abraham Lincoln, in his speech, a speech that rivals King's as perhaps one of the most impactful speeches in human history, had only composed half of the Gettysburg Address a day before his departure. Lincoln commonly used delay as a strategy to arrange his thoughts and mold his phrases. And there are many psychologists who agree with strong evidence that creative insights are much more likely to occur after a period of incubation. And incubation essentially is where you take a prolonged break. It could be days, weeks, or even months, all the while focusing on something entirely different from the job at hand, while your brain works away behind the scenes. And there are many reasons why a period of incubation seems to lead to fresh creativity and new insights. And psychologists have pinned this theory on the power of the unconscious mind. When we leave our task, the brain continues to survey the inventive thoughts that lie below awareness until a solution pops out. And for me, this hibernation from a project that I know is approaching allows me to psychologically reset. Because when I spend too much time just focusing on one problem, I can become fixated in one dimension. Procrastination helps me to widen my mental focus so that I can make connections and then come back to the problem with a new perspective. As a creative, it gives my brain the white space, the blue ocean, to wander. And right now, as I record this podcast, I'm procrastinating. As the CEO of Harvest, there are a dozen things that I should be and could be doing. That there are a number of highly valuable, super impactful projects with their deadlines approaching, yet their folders remain closed. Campaign deadlines, new product deliverables, the copywriting for an advertisement due on Friday. But there is a difference between laziness and strategic procrastination. Laziness is when you put something off but don't replace it with something more valuable at the time. Now, when I say valuable, I mean, I'm not talking about monetary gain. I'm actually talking about joy. It can be another project like what I'm doing here. Instead of conducting a cost impact analysis as raw materials skyrocket, resulting in margin erosion, I'm creating more value for myself recording this podcast for you. And if I'm honest, this is as much for me as it is for you. Strategic procrastination is the self-awareness that you are going to get to it. The promise you make to yourself that you're going to get it done. I'm a procrastinator because I feel like I do my best work under pressure. I need that fear. I need that panic. It moves me. It gives me energy. And the fear and pressure kind of throws me into the work with a focus and a stamina. And strategic procrastination is understanding the difference between the glass balls and the rubber balls. The rubber balls are the ones that you can drop and they'll bounce back at you. These are the tasks and projects that are low impact. Rubber balls have a low opportunity cost and afford some flexibility. The glass balls, on the other hand, are the decisions and the projects that differentiate you. These are the mission critical ones and can move the needle in a positive or negative way. And contrary to what you might think, it's the glass balls, it's the work that actually means the most to myself and my company that I procrastinate on. And I want to share with you the 5 reasons why I do that. The first is that procrastination helps me prioritize. It gives me the space to apply clarity and focus to these critical projects, these glass balls. These are the projects that I cannot afford to drop. And I can space my most critical projects out. When my glass ball project is completed, I would have known about it for weeks before I planned to complete it. Procrastination allows me the room for creative rupture, and it allows me to plan for the emergence of valuable insights. The second reason why I procrastinate my most important projects is because it keeps me motivated. Because they are glass ball projects, I see them on my glass list every day. And because of that, I grow to anticipate them. I plan for it. I know when I'm going to do it. The only difference is I've known about it for weeks. It just gives myself the space to sit with it for a few weeks. And now that I'm rested, I'm ready. I'm ready to do it. And how I do that is I'll plan to work on a project for a bit, I'll focus, and then I'll close that project for later and pick something else up. 2 days later, I'll be walking the dog and I'll get an idea for that particular project. I'll simply open up my Evernote app and I'll notate it. But the key is that I have it on my calendar. So I know when I'm going to formally work on it again. And then what I do is I will gather all those insights and then piece them together in a fresh way. Number 3, procrastination gives me energy. As the deadline approaches, I feel the weight and I know the consequences of not getting it done on time. That fear releases adrenaline. And for me, the emotional energy I get is probably the strongest benefit for strategic procrastination. Number 4, delay gives me focus. And I feel that by waiting until the last minute just gives me a different type of laser focus. Because my promise is at stake, my reputation is at stake. And I'm confident because I've allowed myself a runway with random thoughts around the project and then recording them for such a time as this. And the 5th reason I believe procrastination is a beneficial strategy for me. It makes me better. I feel like I do my best work. I have my best ideas at the last hour. And I've tried the whole do it the right way, do it right away. And it just, for some reason, I end up always going back to it and changing it the last minute. It's just how I'm wired. And what about you? Do you find that you do your best work at the 11th hour? If so, you're a highly skilled procrastinator. Stop listening to the conventional wisdom that is a negative vice to your work and who you believe you are and what you can do. There are no rules to creativity. Position yourself to harness that gift. To plan your procrastination is to give yourself the freedom to let your ideas flourish and grow. You're a creator. You're an entrepreneur. Keep betting on yourself. That's all I got for you this week. We'll see you next week on Entrepreneur Insight.